In this video, we are going to talk about 10 problems rich people have in 2022. So before starting this video, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for the future updates. Over 250 million people will be pushed into poverty in 2022, according to a new report by Oxfam, a global network of charitable organizations. The worldwide financial crisis will be mainly driven by the price inflation due to Russia's invasion of Ukraine and economic crisis caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, it said. The convergence of these two events is also widening the gap between the rich and the poor at an unprecedented rate. Nearly half of the global population, 3.3 billion, are living below the poverty line, while a new person becomes a billionaire every 26 hours since the beginning of the pandemic. Here's a list of the 10 problems rich people have in 2022. Let's start. Number 10. Turkey. President Erdogan will drag Turkey's economy and international standing to new lows in 2022 as he tries to reverse his plunging poll numbers ahead of elections in 2023. Unemployment and inflation are high, and the lira is weaker and more volatile, but Erdogan has rejected orthodox economic management. His foreign policy will grow more combative this year to distract voters from the economic crisis. In the unlikely event of early elections in 2022, all these risks will be exacerbated. Number 9. Corporates losing the culture wars. The world's biggest brands look forward to record profits but a more difficult year managing politics. Consumers and employees, empowered by cancel culture and enabled by social media, will make new demands on multinational corporations and the governments that regulate them. Multinationals will spend more time and money navigating environmental, cultural, social, and political minefields. Number 8. Iran. Iran's nuclear program is advancing rapidly. With diplomacy stalled, the Biden administration has few options. Israel will increasingly take matters into its own hands, which once again raises the specter of Israeli strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities. These pressures will collide this year, leaving oil prices and regional states jittery, and increasing the risk of conflict. Number 7. 2 steps greener, 1 step back. In 2022, continued upward pressure on energy costs will force governments to favor policies that lower energy costs but delay climate action. Rising energy prices will raise anxiety levels for both voters and elected officials, even as climate pressures on government increase. Number 6. Russia. A buildup of Russian troops near Ukraine has opened a broader confrontation over Europe's security architecture. President Vladimir Putin could send in troops and annex the occupied Donbass, but his current demand is for major NATO security concessions and a promise of no further eastward expansion. But a grand bargain is unlikely, and close encounters between NATO and Russian ships and planes will become more frequent and more dangerous, increasing chances of an accident. Number 5. Empty lands. With Washington and Beijing distracted by domestic priorities, and the EU, UK, and Japan unable to fill the resulting power vacuum, many countries and regions will be left with unmanaged crises. In Afghanistan, a disorganized and inexperienced Taliban will struggle to stop Islamic State from drawing foreign militants into ungoverned expanses of the country. The risk of terrorism also remains acute in the thinly governed Sahel. Number 4. China at home. An increasingly burdensome, zero-COVID policy. See risk number 1. And President Xi Jinping's reform plans will unsettle markets and companies in 2022. Xi's vision of technological self-sufficiency, economic security, and social harmony, to make China strong, will collide with intensifying pushback from the West, an exhausted growth model, an over-leveraged and unbalanced economy, and a rapidly aging population, and at a time when COVID-19 variants continue to circulate. Number 3. U.S. midterms. In November, Republicans will almost certainly win back majority control of the House of Representatives, and maybe the Senate. If so, Democrats will view GOP control as the illegitimate result of a voter suppression campaign, and Republicans will see victory as further evidence of 2020 election fraud. Biden's impeachment will lead the GOP agenda, and public trust in American political institutions will take an even larger hit. More important is what the midterms mean for the 2024 presidential election. Donald Trump is signaling he will run for president in 2024. If he is defeated by a Democrat, a Republican House could vote to overturn state-level election results, but a Democrat-controlled Senate would limit the fallout. Number 2. Technopolar world. The world's biggest tech firms decide much of what we see and hear. They determine our economic opportunities and shape our opinions on important subjects. EU, US, and Chinese policymakers will all tighten tech regulation this year, but they won't limit their ability to invest in the digital sphere where they, not governments, remain the primary architects, actors, and enforcers. Number 1. No zero COVID. We're done with the pandemic, but it's not yet done with us, and the finish line depends on where you live. Critically, China's zero COVID policy will fail. In the developed world, the end is near. The highly transmissible Omicron variant is colliding with highly vaccinated populations that are bolstered by highly effective mRNA vaccines and COVID-19 treatments. That's why the pandemic will likely become endemic for advanced industrial economies in the first half of this year. Yet even in the developed world, the economic hangover from the pandemic will endure this year with disrupted supply chains and persistent inflation. But China, the primary engine for global growth, will face highly transmissible COVID-19 variants without the most effective vaccines and with far fewer people protected by previous infection. China's policy will fail to contain infections, lead to larger outbreaks, and require more severe lockdowns. What do you think of our video? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoy this video and want to hear from me again, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go. Thanks for watching.